Womp bum luma, womp bam boom. That was Little Richard singing Tutti Frutti. And it's a sad day today here in the world right now because Little Richard has passed away today at the age of, I believe it's 79. Let me check here. 87, excuse me, of cancer. So he passed away today, actually, the age of 87 due to cancer. So figured I'd play one of his more famous songs, Tutti Frutti. Uh, One of the funniest things I remember about Tutti Frutti is that Val Kilmer sings the same song in Top Secret, which is, if you haven't seen it before, is a great, funny, fantastic movie from the guys who brought you Airplane. It's their version of, it's a parody movie of Elvis Presley movies and World War II movies same time. So very good. But Val Kilmer sings Tutti Frutti in the movie as well. So I figured that would be a good way to honor Little Richard. A weird week this week when it comes to death because there's not as many deaths out there, but the majority of them are musicians or people who work in the music industry. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. We talk about my usual death sequence. I'm also going to go off on a bunch of stupid things that happened this week from the stupid people who are in charge of this country who don't know a damn thing about anything, and the people that they are is their base. And this is just a lot of stuff freaking pissed me off this week, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about manga and anime. My wife and daughter are obsessed with, which you'll see about that in a second. It's Mother's Day tomorrow, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll do the NFL schedule. Came out this week. This is episode 348 of Dill Knows. You said since May is made for snow, and I'm wearing my snow shirt because for the first time ever in Maryland history, we had snow in Maryland in May. We'll talk about why that is crazy. Some other things as well. We'll talk a little bit about the mini plague doctor, which is going all over the place right now. Stupid people and crazy headlines. Got about 2 or 3 of those today. Something interesting with Pop-Tarts and ice cream, which I'd never thought of before. That's pretty good. Oh, that's right. I got to make sure that I can read this. I know what it is. I can't read it here. A lot of Disney Plus news today. As I said, the aforementioned deaths, some animal stuff. ESPN has found a new sport to show. The movie industry is going to slowly start coming back into making films. I'll tell you where we're going to start making films again. I have finally been proven right after screaming and yelling about this for 6-7 years on my show. I have been proven right today. We get a revisit from Twilight, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. Mike Tyson's back in the news. What the hell is that? Oh, see, again, I know what this is, but I have to rewrite it because I'm like, what the hell am I talking about? But lots of Disney Plus stuff, as I said. Macaulay Culkin is in the news again. Andy Serkis is in the news again. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince are joining forces again after so many years. Tom Cruise is doing something that no one has ever done before. And some local news, update on school stuff. Neil Gaiman had a setback, and some sad stories and crazy stories and NASA stories and Ghibli museum stories and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we shall get started right away. I think I'm going to hold off on doing my righteous anger at the Republican Party here in a few minutes here. So let's hit some of the other stuff here real quick. Coffee cubes is a new thing also. Instead of it being ground coffee, they're actually in cubes that you just drop in hot water and you get yourself some coffee. It's the next big craze, I think. So we'll be seeing that coming soon probably. J. Crew and Neiman Marcus are going bankrupt. So when things come back online, they will be declaring bankruptcy, which is a shame. But 2 of the biggest clothing industries out there is being wrecked by this whole thing. Kids can email homework questions about Shakespeare to David Tennant and Patrick Stewart. There is a video to watch that'll give you the addresses you can send it to, so you're not just sending them saying, "Oh, I love you so much, send me a picture." No, they won't do that. It's put aside particularly for people who have questions about Shakespeare homework, which kind of interesting because they've both done stuff before. 200,000-year-old Anunnaki city was found in Africa this week. It's always great bringing up archaeology and stuff that's been found. It's always kind of cool to bring that stuff. COVID-19 has been detected in semen, and you could transmit COVID-19 through sex now. Obviously, you have the close connection anyway, and the mouth and the combination of fluids and stuff like that. But now an added thing is you could actually send COVID-19 through semen as well, which brings up a funny story about a couple of weeks ago when I told a story about a woman who claimed that semen milkshakes were helping her fight COVID-19. Maybe it was because it was building the antibodies from the semen, the COVID-19, the semen. So that's an interesting thing to look at. The cutest little thing out there now is no longer Baby Yoda. Well, no, actually it is Baby Yoda. And we've got actually a bunch of Baby Yoda stories coming up here. But let me see if I can find a picture of the newest craze, the mini plague doctor. Let me see. Let's type in that mini plague doctor. Search. Yep, there he is. It's squishable. The squishable mini plague doctor is now a thing. Isn't he adorable? Looks like a big old owl. But that is now a thing. It's adorable. People are going crazy. They're pre-ordering it, and the pre-orders have gone through the roof. Just more stupid people, which I'm not going to talk about right now. So that's kind of interesting. So that's the newest, cutest thing now. So if you liked how that looked, I guess check Amazon or just type in mini plague doctor and see if you can find out where it is and how much it is. I don't know what's going to be about that. Man managed to lift a 20-ton block by hand using an ancient forgotten technique. And I didn't quite see what the technique was because it was a video that I wasn't sure I wanted to open in my phone because it was from something I never noticed before, but it seemed like an interesting headline, and it would explain how maybe Stonehenge and other stuff had been created. So there's that. Comic book news, Green Lantern, for those who've watched the show before, you know that there was a period way back in the early part of the show where I was wearing multiple lantern cores because what's the name? I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, but the writer of Green Lantern created the multicolored Green Lantern cores. They include the red, all done by the color of the Jeff Johns is the one who created by the colors of the rainbow. So there was the red lanterns, the orange lanterns, the yellow lanterns, green lanterns, blue lanterns, indigo lanterns, violet lanterns. Then there was black lanterns, there was white lanterns. And now Brian Michael Bendis has created a gold lantern for his Legion comic, with comics coming back sooner than later. Legion number 6 is one of those comics that'll be coming out sooner than later. Last week I talked to you that they are releasing, Marvel released their scheduling release date, and DC's been releasing stuff like that. Well, they're going to start releasing more stuff like crazy, including that Legion issue that's coming up really soon that will have the introduction of the gold lantern. So that's another good one. And hopefully they'll make a shirt of that, and I'll be able to get that to add to my collection. Of course, I need to re-up on all those shirts because they are all too small for me, and I've worn them a million times, so I need to get some new ones on that. See if I can find them now. I don't know if I can. Speaking of that, Diamond Comics has set Wednesday, May 20th as the first date to return to shipping comics. I got a word from my local comic book store that they're still going to be we should still be under the stay-at-home thing and small business being shut down. So they have said if you want to get comics starting on May 20th, this is a list of stuff that's going to be there. join our subscription service, get a subscription service, send us an email with your stuff, phone, whatever, a text, whatever, and we'll get the stuff to you free of charge. Or I have to reread it myself because I think I might actually. I've been pushing off having a subscription there because I'm always afraid that I've had subscriptions before and I got behind in payments for my comics, so that I owed for like months. I didn't pick up my comics, and they became I got into a lot of trouble with that. And now with my uncertainty about what's coming up with work and stuff like that, I don't know if I should, but at the same time, I kind of want to get back into comics, though technically I really haven't been reading them as much this time. So we'll see. I'll look into that. But that is the date that Diamond Comics has set for them redoing the shipping of comics. So that's good. And they were only shut down for about a little bit over about a month and a half, I guess. So there's that. Some anime talk now. Inuyasha, which is a famous anime manga, is announced a sequel this week will be coming. So fans of Inuyasha will be excited about that. I don't know much about Inuyasha except for when I worked at Diamond, and people ordered it all the time. Now, speaking of manga, my daughter and my wife had become obsessed with the manga Haikyuu, which is about a boys' volleyball team. And so much so that my daughter has gotten an interest in actually playing volleyball. So my wife bought a volleyball and a volleyball net, and she's been practicing. My daughter's been practicing every day with the volleyball, and she really kind of likes it, is kind of obsessed with it a little bit. And then my wife, earlier this week, discovered that Haikyuu is actually on Netflix. So they've been binge watching Netflix. It's only 2 seasons, but the seasons are about 25 episodes each, about half hour each. So they are now on episode 23, I believe. So they're almost done season 1. So good on them for that. I've been watching a little bit of the anime with them. It's an interesting one. It's a little bit different than your typical anime you expect. You expect like robots and giant demons and creatures and aliens and lots of blood and gore, stuff like that. It's just about a bunch of kids on a volleyball team, but is the most important thing to them in the whole world. So I think that's kind of cool that they're doing stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. And since we're on that, let's see if I can find the story about that. There is Studio Ghibli, which is the one that brings you Kiki's Delivery Service and Howl's Moving Castle and Princess Mononoke, Nausicaa, Totoro, The Cat Returns, Spirited Away, Porco Rosso, stuff like that. They have a museum, and because of the lockdowns and the quarantine, stuff like that, the museum is now allowing online tours of it. So if you've always wanted to see what a anime museum would look like, or manga anime museum, it's an anime, they're mostly an anime company. Looks like, you can go check it out there. That's pretty cool. Local news, snow has hit Reisterstown today, hence the name of the episode, hence I'm wearing the snow shirt. This winter was absolutely bizarre. We had one snow day in December, and we had one day of it was kind of lightish snow that came down, but it wasn't enough to close schools down. I think they opened late that day, but it wasn't enough to close schools down. And that was it. We had no snow this year, which is fine by me, actually. It's fine. I like snow, but sometimes when it comes to a lot of snow and the fact that there really was no snow days and the kids would have, if things were normal, would have been going to school into late June if they had snow days. The fact that we didn't have any is good. Now we had this quarantine thing going on, so we'll see what happens. But it was weird. The reason why is last week, I don't even remember, I was telling a story about, well, actually 2 weeks ago started when I was talking about that there was a hole in the ozone layer over the North Pole. Then last week, I explained that the hole is now closed due to a polar vortex hanging around up there. Well, the polar vortex has now moved its way down into the United States and is creating cold temperatures here. We hit a record low in Maryland this morning for 35 degrees for a low, which has never been that cold in Maryland before in May. Hence the record-breaking thing. I don't know if we broke a record today. The record was the temperature got up to 53 degrees. It was under 53 degrees that I think it was. I think we hit a record. And then here's how screwed up Maryland is. It's going to be 64 tomorrow, 55 Monday, 57 Tuesday, 64 Wednesday, 66 Thursday, 80 on Friday, 75 Saturday, 75 Sunday, 73 next Monday. So this is the last bit of winter. 46 degrees, a low of 35 degrees today. So we could break another record again today, but it is the coldest 2-day period in Maryland in May history. And the fact then was it wasn't anything, but we were sitting, I think they were watching Haikyuu and I was sitting on the sofa doing Pokemon Go stuff, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. I think my son was doing something on the computer and my wife happened to look out the window and go, snow. And I look out the window and sure enough, there's flurries flying around. It wasn't, as I said, not laying down, but there was flurries flying all over the place. So I watched them and then I stopped for a while. Then I went upstairs to take my shower. And as I got out of the shower, I looked out the window and it was flurrying again. So we had flurries, nothing really late or whatever. But the fact was we actually physically saw snow in Reisterstown. And then if you went to the Reisterstown page on Facebook, Owings Mills page on Facebook, they were screaming, why is there snow in this area? So it was snowing in the area. So we got snow in Reisterstown in May, which has never happened before. So 2020 is just all kinds of screwy, isn't it? We also got official word this week that the school systems have been shut down for the rest of the year. So kids will not be going back to their physical schools this year, which is kind of a shame, but honestly, it was expected. The fact of the matter is there's only about a month left, a month and a couple weeks left of the school year anyway. So even if it went back by next Monday, not this Monday, but next Monday, it wouldn't really matter because then they'd only have about a month in the school and then it would be summer break. So we'll see what happens about that. But right now, schools are closed for the year. During the same conversation, Governor Hogan, the governor of Maryland, was saying that Maryland has sort of been on a plateau. They haven't had really too many new, it's sort of leveled out. COVID-19 cases and people dying and getting well have sort of shifted around. So in their viewpoint, they think things are heading in the right direction for Maryland. So as per the CDC, we are going to wait one more week to see if those numbers continue to stay plateau or get lower. And if that's the case, then they'll start the phase 1 of a 3-phase opening of the state of Maryland. They're not going to do it all at once. I guess a lot of these states are doing, kind of phase 1 things, but some of them are going to extremes. But they did open up Ocean City, Maryland. The boardwalk's open, the beaches are open. But unlike Florida, you wouldn't want to go swimming probably at the beach at Ocean City right now, particularly since it snowed today. But you can walk on the beach, stuff like that. They opened up golf courses and tennis courts. And if you needed other kinds of surgery that wasn't COVID-19 related or just typical things you've been putting off for a while that need to get done, you can now do that as well. They've opened up camping and other outdoor sports, opening up more parks like that. So things are opening up. And then if things go for another week, plateauing pretty good, then they'll enter phase 1, which means they're going to start opening some businesses, lessening the stay-at-home orders, stuff like that, maybe lessening the face mask things. We'll see. But we're taking it slow. So we have at least one more week of stuff to go with. So we'll see. So we got that. And then the other thing in local news right now, so I'm going to pull this up right now, is the NFL schedule came out. And the NFL, as I said last week, is pretty on the opinion that they will have a full season. So they did a full 17 I thought I saved. Oh, I didn't save it here. I saved it in my pictures. A full 17-week football season. And the Ravens actually got a pretty good schedule this year. Actually, let me clear some of this junk out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, I got rid of 24 pictures. Boom. Okay. So the Ravens schedule is as follows. Opening game is against the Cleveland Browns at home. Week 2 is against the Houston Texans in Houston at 4:25 p.m. The opening week game in Baltimore is at 1 p.m. Week 3 is an 8:15 p.m. Monday night battle with the Kansas City Chiefs on September 28th. So that'll be Monday Night Football. Week 4, this is fantastic. On my wife and I's wedding anniversary, October 4th, the Ravens go to Washington to play the Redskins. My wife's favorite team is the Redskins. Mine is the Ravens. So on our anniversary, those teams are playing in Washington. Week 5, the Cincinnati Bengals come to Baltimore on October 11th. October 18th, we travel up the road to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. October 25th, we're back home against the Steelers. Then we have our bye. And then week 9, we have Sunday, November 8th is in Indianapolis against the Colts. And then we have our first double away game. Week 10 is a Sunday night battle, 8:20 p.m. against the New England Patriots in New England, without Tom Brady, by the way. Then we're back home on week 11 against the Titans, which is going to be a revenge match for the playoffs last year. Then we go on Thanksgiving. This is right. That's right. The Ravens are back on Thanksgiving. They're going to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers on Thanksgiving night. And what's great about that is that the Washington Redskins, as I said, my wife's favorite team, will be playing Dallas at the 4 o'clock game on Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is just going to be lit this year in my family. Week 13 is a Thursday night battle at home against the Dallas Cowboys. Week 14 is a Monday night game against the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. Now, let's take a look at that. We had Thanksgiving primetime game at 8:20. We have a Thursday night primetime game at 8:20 week, and then we have a 8:15 Monday night game. So we have 3 straight big games all in a row, night games, primetime games. So that's great. Week 15, the Ravens are back home against the Jacksonville Jaguars on December 20th. December 27th, they are at home against the New York Giants. So they have 2 back-to-back home games. And they end their season on Sunday, January 3rd against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. So that is your Ravens schedule. And as I said, the Thanksgiving schedule is lit this year with the Redskins playing the Cowboys on Thanksgiving and the Ravens playing the Steelers on Thanksgiving. So I am so stoked for Thanksgiving, and here's hoping that football plays a regular thing and that when Thanksgiving comes around that everything is great and wonderful and exciting. So that's your NFL schedule for your Ravens. If you have other teams you like, obviously, you would have checked it out. There were 8 teams, I think, that had 5 primetime games, including the Ravens. So, very cool. So there's that. Moana sequel is in the works by Disney. Obviously, it was about time, but it's going to be there. Someone accidentally shot themselves in the balls with 20 bottle rockets. How the hell do you do that accidentally? I don't know. Just complete and utter morons, which this world seems to be full of right now, particularly this country. You can send your DNA to the moon. I guess if you give a DNA sample to a moon mission, they will launch your DNA into the moon and I guess store your DNA on the moon's surface. I don't know what for, maybe to clone you down the line, but you can go ahead and do that. Rupert Grint, who played Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter movies, and his girlfriend had a baby girl. He is the first of the main characters to have a child. So congratulations to Rupert and his girlfriend. A woman named her son Anakin Skywalker. I guess Anakin Skywalker and then the last name, whatever this, because she thought it was cool. I guess it is cool, but to name your son after someone who becomes Darth Vader, one of the worst villains in film history, we'll see what happens. Boba Fett, speaking of Star Wars, Boba Fett to appear in the Mandalorian series Season 2, and he will be played by Tamura Morrison, who played Jango Fett and was also the basis for all the the stormtrooper, the clone trooper clones was Tamara Morrison's DNA, and then his son, who was Boba, was him also. So it makes sense that he will be playing him in the Mandalorian. So obviously he's going to survive. We'll find out how he survives, and we'll see Mandalorian versus Mandalorian. So that should be pretty interesting to see that. Another Star Wars story. Police brutally take down a person dressed up as a stormtrooper for May the 4th for carrying a gun. And William Shatner, who is known for his Star Trek work, went out on a limb and said, "You guys are freaking ridiculous." So he called out the police on that. So that's kind of interesting. Pop-Tarts brown sugar cinnamon good humor bars will be coming this summer, which means you'll get your first ice cream bars that taste like your brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts. And honestly, I like the brown sugar cinnamon ones. That might be something that might be pretty good to have a taste of. Now we're going to talk about idiots, Republican idiots, stuff like that. So if you are Republican, if you still back your Republican president, you're a freaking moron. But that's just my opinion, because pay attention to see what he's actually doing to this country and destroying it and teaming up with foreign but we're not going to go there. So what happened this week? 2 teenage McDonald's employees were shot after telling 2 Oklahoma City residents that the dining room was closed. So because they couldn't go and have something to eat at the actual McDonald's, they came back and shot 2 employees for no other reason than, well, why can't we come sit in the restaurant even though it's closed? Idiots. Man charged with assault and battery for wiping his nose on a Michigan Dollar Tree employee's shirt, because that's the way COVID-19 can be spread. Again, these idiots who sheeple, as they call them, who follow every word and don't think this is a big deal, even though all the people who have been raging against opening up, a lot of the leaders have now come under COVID-19, have got the coronavirus. And also the White House itself is now swamped with coronavirus incidents, with about 3 or 4 top people in the White House right now suffering from COVID-19. But no, it's a fake, it's hoax, it's not a real thing. So dreams and thoughts for them, thoughts and prayers for them. Man was shot to death after telling someone that they could not enter a dollar store, also in Michigan, without a mask. So this girl comes back, felt disrespected, and told her dad to come back, and they shot this guy to death. They killed somebody for telling them that they could not come into the store wearing a mask, which was the rule to protect them and other people. I cannot tell you how angry and frustrated this is making me, and how nobody seems to be doing a damn thing about it. This is ridiculous things, and it needs to stop, because this is never going to end if we have idiots like this doing stuff like that and rejecting. How hard is it to sit on your ass for a couple of weeks watching TV and cleaning your guns if that's a big thing to do? Why do you have to feel like you have to go out and do your own thing? Oh, you can't get your hair cut. Big fucking deal. You can't go out something to eat. Big fucking deal. Get over it. Learn to think of other people besides yourself, you asshole sheeple. This is something else. Racism is fucking ridiculous also. 2 white guys stalk and kill a young black man for jogging. And they claim that he fit the description of someone who committed a crime in the neighborhood they were in. So they hunted him down and shot him to death. But when questioned, they didn't know the name of the neighborhood that supposedly had the crime scene, nor could they bring a picture or proof that there was ever any crime scene. It was basically done because they are fucking racist white motherfuckers who saw a young, successful black guy in their neighborhood and didn't want a black kid in their neighborhood, so they shot and killed him. Luckily, these guys finally got busted after video was shown. But the thing of the matter is, it was 2 months. 2 months ago, this happened, and they got off scot-free because fucking Georgia is white supremacist country. And it's bullshit. And I'm done with it. California identified nail salon as the source of a COVID-19 community outbreak. So again, people who need to get their nails done go out and spread COVID-19 because they don't believe it can really happen, and then it does. And they're like, oh, what? That's so stupid. Idiots. Here's another idiot. Ted Cruz gets his hair cut at a salon that was closed, that a woman was arrested for opening early. So he decides to go back and says, you know what? I'll give you some business, because Ted Cruz is a fucking weak-ass bitch as well. I'm so sick of all this bullshit. Finally, my final rant for the day will be: a woman was killed by an alligator in South Carolina. A woman was killed by an alligator in South Carolina because she was at a manicurist's getting her a manicurist's house getting her nails done during a lockdown when she shouldn't be doing that. So she got her nail done, refused to listen to the law of South Carolina, went and got her nails done, and then got eaten by an alligator. That's fucking karma. I wish fucking alligators would eat most everybody else in here, or something bad happens to people. And I'm usually not a type of person, but I fucking hate this shit. Because now we have all these deaths. Not all these are COVID-19 related, but there are some. Somebody I worked with at the radio station lost their father to COVID-19 this week. So it's not a big fucking hoax, you ass hat motherfuckers. Dumbasses. Shit. And I talked about this earlier today. Little Richard passed away today, age 87, of cancer. As I said, a lot of these you'll find out are going to be musicians. This is like the week the music died, as it were. Florian Schneider from the band Kraftwerk died at the age of 73 this week as well. Andre Harold was a music exec that gave Diddy his big break. Also ran Motown and created and was the founder of Uptown Music, I guess Uptown something or other, news, music, whatever. He died at the age of 59 this week. Again, music related. Bad Company singer Brian Anthony died, and Brian Anthony Howe, I guess, died at the age of 66 due to a heart attack. Again, a musician. Millie Small, who sang the song My Boy Lollipop, died at the age of 73. Never heard of that song, but it was popular. It's Jamaican, I think, so it was fairly popular back in the old days. Katie Gross, a country singer who was destined to make it big. She died at the age of 30 under natural causes. No one knows exactly why she passed away. David Greenfield, the Stranglers keyboard player, died at the age of 71 due to COVID-19. I don't know who that is. But those are the musicians. Yes, those are the musicians who passed away this week. We also have Roy Horn of the Siegfried and Roy Lion Troupe. He died at the age of 75 of COVID-19 this week. Yevgeny Mikara, who is the head of the Russian human spaceflight program, died of COVID-19 this week as well. Don Shula, Hall of Fame coach of the undefeated Miami Dolphins, was also coach of the Baltimore Colts back when they were really, really good. He passed away at the age of 90 this week. Original Ford Mustang designer Gail Halderman died this week as well. And Greg Zarvis, a artist Illinois carpenter who made crosses for mass shooting victims, died at the age of 69 this week as well. So as I said, mostly musicians, but there were some other big ones, particularly Don Shule and stuff like that. So, and as I said, also someone I knew from the radio station, their father died this week. So someone that I know personally lost somebody due to COVID-19. There are a few other people I knew personally that have had their relations had one. One was a sister, had COVID-19, beat it, but then got it again. So she's back in the hospital now with the symptoms. So we'll see what happens with that. So I don't have anything else to say about that. I'm done. I'm just totally flabbergasted and upset with the way this world is, and I honestly don't see anything changing anytime soon. This past weekend was supposed to be the Kentucky Derby. And next weekend was supposed to be the Preakness, but because of all this COVID-19 stuff, the Preakness has now been moved to sometime in October. Kentucky Derby is in September, I believe. So we'll see how that goes about. But in order to, is it on here or is it another page? It's on another page. Let's see if I can find it on here. But because the, well, I can tell you about it because I remember what it is, but I can't tell if it's on here. Oh, there it is. Because Kentucky Derby was supposed to be out last weekend, and it didn't run. So what they decided to do is they decided to do a virtual Kentucky Derby by having every Triple Crown winner race against each other in the Kentucky Derby in some sort of, I'm not exactly sure how they did it, simulation, but they were able to simulate it. And of course, obviously, everyone knows is the greatest horse of all time, Secretariat, end up winning the virtual Kentucky Derby. The two horses that have won it recently placed in the middle of the pack, so they weren't as good as some of the other ones. But it's kind of neat that sports is finding a way to survive despite not being around. That goes with ESPN. Also, they are going to be televising Korean baseball until the new baseball season starts. So Korean baseball apparently has gotten the okay to play. So they've been playing and they've been showing the games on ESPN. Major League Baseball is pretty much stating that July 1st will be the opening of the season, but they need to get the approval of the Major League Baseball Players Association and then work out the logistics about how they're going to do it. But right now that appears to be the big thing, and that is going to be sent to the Major League Baseball Players Association this week, and they will discuss it and figure out if the plan works for them. So we could be seeing baseball as soon as July 1st. So what they would do then is they would have a quick June spring training and then get back into baseball in July. That's what it looks like now. If it gets approved, it'll give them a couple weeks at the rest of May to get things organized and scheduled out and stuff like that. Get the schedule going, get the draft done, work out the gaming schedule, how they're going to do it. As I told you, there's all kinds of ideas. Are we going to play in Florida and Arizona only? Are we going to play in front of no fans? Are we going to are we going to just stay in our local areas and have just two divisions and just have their local area, or three divisions, but just them all be local teams? So all the East Coast teams are in one league, National and American, same with Midwest and the West. Is that going to happen? Are they just going to play each other and then the three of them will play each other in the playoffs later on? We don't know. We'll see. But right now, that's the rumor that is coming out right now for baseball. So we'll see what happens about that. A lesbian couple got married at a drive-in theater to satisfy the social distancing request. So they picked a drive-in theater where everybody could drive up in their cars and stay in their cars and watch the two of them get married. So that's a good way, if you want to get married through all this, is to do it at a drive-in movie theater. It's a good idea. The Steve Carell TV show for Netflix, which will be out at the end of the month, I believe. Excuse me. Space Force from Greg Daniels, who did The Office and King of the Hill, did the first trailer drop today. It looked okay. It didn't look like a show that I'm like, I got to see this, even with Steve Carell in it, but it just seems like, there could have been something more they could have done with it, but it just sort of like, I'm not that big of a fan of it, so we'll see what happens. I probably won't watch it anyway. Human Flesh Jacket, which is what I should name this episode instead, is a new thing now. It's a jacket that looks like it's made of human flesh with faces and noses, and is that sort of leathery sort of skin tone issue that you see, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre horror film, stuff like that. So I don't know who in their right mind would wear a human flesh jacket anyway, but hey, if you like that kind of stuff, hey, go for it. Something else here. Giant cockroach pool floats are the new thing coming out this summer as well. So you can swim around in your pool on a giant cockroach floaty. No, thank you. Wanda Vision, the one of the MCU's TV shows that was stalled due to filming due to COVID-19, apparently has somehow been able to finish filming their episodes, and we may see them by the end of the year, because we weren't expecting that to happen because they stopped filming on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So they're delaying that. They haven't decided yet what they're going to do. If they might be able to, if it gets cleared sooner than later, they might be able to finish the season and have a later start than they wanted to. So both these might be out in December. We'll find out. But apparently WandaVision has finished filming, so we'll see about that. Speaking of that, New Zealand is how you do things right. They did everything right with COVID-19, and their cases have fell to this many, with that many deaths as well recently over a span of 2 to 3 weeks. This many deaths and this many people sick in New Zealand. So they did it right. The reason why is they had a strong leadership in a female, which we could have had because, hey, didn't Hillary Clinton win the popular vote by 3 million votes? But because of Russia and because of a technicality with the Electoral College, this asshat came into power and ruined the United States. We could have had a strong, powerful leader in Hillary Clinton who could have turned us into a New Zealand, and none of this would have been an issue. But hey, let's vote for this asshole anyway. But we're not going to talk about that. We're talking about how great New Zealand is with their female prime minister who came in, kicked ass, saw things, and now New Zealand is back on track. They're back at work. They are not having any more issues. They've kicked COVID-19's butt. They're keeping an eye out for any secondary lapse, and if a secondary one pops up, they'll shut down that shit again. But for now, they've been weeks without any incidences, so they pretty much said, bye-bye, COVID-19. It's your problem elsewhere now. So because lots of films are filming in New Zealand, the Tom Hanks Elvis biography will probably get back online really soon because that's how they got sick. They were down there, so that'll probably get back online soon. So any films filming in New Zealand, guess what? You're going to be able to go back to work probably within this week and start making movies again so we can start getting things back to normal. That includes the movie I'm not anticipating, but everybody else, they claim everybody else is Avatar 2 is going to be able to start working on that as well. So good on New Zealand, and that's how you do that shit. So we'll see what happens, but that's a good sign that things are happening. It's no secret that I love caramel apples. I love the fall, and I saw this recipe for a caramel apple pie. I thought, okay, that sounds pretty cool, but then it says it has 18 apples in it, and I was like, that might be a little too much. Excuse me. But it still looks good. It's still caramel apple pie. So maybe once this lit Thanksgiving comes, we'll see what happens. Dunkin' is selling do-it-yourself donut kits that come with a variety of frostings and sprinkles and about 12 donuts of your own, so you can make your own donuts, Dunkin' Donut style. So good on that. The 2020 Gerber baby is the first ever adopted baby for the campaign, so congratulations to that. That's great. A 5-year-old boy was pulled over while trying to drive a 5-year-old boy was pulled over while trying to drive to California to buy a Lamborghini. 5. What the hell? Here's another good headline for you. We had to get Florida back in here. They've been AWOL for a while, but here we go. We got to get back to Florida right now. Half-naked Florida sheriff it was okay. Let's get back. Half-naked Florida sheriff, his topless wife were photographed indulging in a foursome at a couple swapping party. if you're into that shit, that's great. But if you're a police officer, maybe not so much. Maybe you shouldn't be photographed doing that shit. But hey, it's just your kink, man. Go for it. It's a little odd, but whatever. Who am I? Who am I to be someone who says that? So I don't know. This just makes me seethe because it gives good dads a bad name. A dad deletes his son's entire Minecraft world because his son slept late. Now, if you've never seen your kids play Minecraft before, if they don't play Minecraft, but if you've never seen kids play Minecraft, they create. This is stuff they create with their own imaginations. It takes a lot of work to create these things. My son and my daughter are both extraordinary at making these amazing buildings and these amazing contraptions that do all kinds of crazy things. He's watched videos on how to do it, and he's gone and he's done it. And so it's amazing all the stuff that he has been able to do. And my daughter, even though she doesn't do it as much. But I don't think I could ever delete my son's hard work, something that he's good at and that he has a lot of pride in, because he oversleeps. Dude, that's a little harsh, man. But I'm not the parent, but whatever. But dude, that's still really harsh, man. And you shouldn't do something like that. What you should have done is you should have taken them away from Minecraft, because they love that shit. So if they did something wrong, you say, well, you can't do it for a week. Then that'll get their heads all straightened up and to fly right. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of my son, he likes Fortnite and he likes Minecraft and he likes Roblox, but Fortnite is one of the things he's been into recently. A lot of stuff happening in Fortnite right now, and I got it on my phone. I played it a few times. I'm not as good as he is, obviously, but we've been able to connect a few times, and he's shown me some pointers, and we've done some stuff. We almost did a battle royale once. We finished second, which is great. But so Fortnite, there's a bunch of stuff happened this week. They had this going for a little while, but they officially opened the Party Royale, which is what Fortnite is basically is a game called Battle Royale, where you get dropped on an island. It's like the Hunger Games. There's 100 people, and you're scattered around the island, and you go running around the island trying to kill the other 99 people. So you're the last one and win and become the victory royale guy. You find stuff lying around on the ground. You enter people's houses or buildings, and you tear up their houses, and you open chests of drawers and find stuff, and there's trunks that have stuff in it. You pick up their guns and weapons, and you try to get around. You can build stuff, and you have to beat a storm. A storm keeps closing in on you, and it's pushing you to the center area, so you can have the final battle in this center area before you get overcome by the storm. The storm will kill you if you stay in it long enough. So it's a race against time. It's a race against time. It's a game, like I said, like the Hunger Games, and it's really interesting and it's kind of fun. But they decided that there's all kinds of different things that they're doing with it, and the Party Royale is the newest thing they're doing, where it's an area where you can just hang out with your friends or hang out with other Fortnite players, and you're not trying to kill each other. Instead, you're just hanging out and having a good time, because one of the things about Fortnite is they do something called emotes, which are all kinds of dance moves. My son knows them by heart, and he loves doing the dance moves, which is really funny because he doesn't like doing dance, but he does the Fortnite dance moves. So go figure. But this place, you can dance with other people. You can get paint guns and tomatoes and hamburgers to throw at people, and bouncy things and plunger arrows. You can drive around on 4x4s and race and just do all kinds of just fun things. And they have a concert area set up because Fortnite has been having a lot of concerts recently. They've had 2 recently, Marshmello and Travis Scott. So they said we may as well set up an area where we can do concerts all the time if we want to get more people, because so many people are interested in doing it, and it breaks records when people do the concerts. So they set up this area called Party Royale, where you can just sit around and play. No one dies. You just go, you have fun, you shoot each other with stuff that doesn't hurt you. You can change your avatars at will. You can run around, you do all the stuff that you do, and then you can go to the concert area, go to an actual concert and dance and do your emotes there. So to kick it off was on Friday. They did a Fortnite concert. It was about an hour long, and they had 3 DJs on. Dead Mouse was the headliner, I think. I forget the name of the other one, Dylan something, and Steve Arlo or something like that, or Steve Alton or something like that. So they were DJs, so they would do their DJ music, and it was in this one concert area, and my son went and just had a blast dancing and jumping around and shooting at the screen and listening to music. So we had a good time. So that's going on right now. But the other good thing about Fortnite is that it changes. The game changes all the time. They do seasons. So they do a particular season. Right now, they're in the middle of a spy season where they have a ghost and shadow faction facing off against each other, and you have to choose which side you are. And you've been seeing the changes. They change the map every few weeks. Season 3 is supposed to start on June 4th, so they started to get close. Usually, the season ends on a giant live event where something major happens to the island. Like there was one where a giant robot took out a giant kaiju. There was a big ice storm that hit. There was all these tears in the fabric of time that brought stuff out and all kinds. So they do all kinds of really cool stuff. Right now, what it looks like is they've been just dropping hints about what the next season is going to be about. And a lot of people believe it's going to be about, they're going to flood the island because it's an island, but it's going to be, their puddles have started to appear on the map. When you're running, you're like, whoa, what's that? They weren't there before. There's going to be flying sharks with freaking lasers on their heads. You'll be able to jump on that. You're going to be able to swim underwater and do all kinds of stuff like that. So they're setting up all kinds of stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. But that's coming up too. Plus, for May the 4th, they've always had a connection with Star Wars. So they have one of the weapons you could use would be lightsabers. So they put the lightsabers back for about a 48-hour period, and you can grab them, and they were way crazy, and they were a lot of fun to use, but you could use lightsabers in the battles and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. So that was what's going on with Fortnite. So going on with that. Speaking of May the 4th, the Clone Wars, the cartoon animated series, considered to be the best Star Wars story ever told. And I've only seen like maybe 2 seasons worth of the 7, and I want to see all of them. But the final ever Clone Wars episode came out on May the 4th. They're not going to be doing any more. They pretty much wrapped up their storyline, and the last, I guess, 3 or 4 episodes of this season connected with Revenge of the Sith and explained, why certain characters that you met that you'd never seen before in the Clone Wars cartoon series were not part of the movies. And then we also learn of the extent of the Area 66 or whatever, the Act 66 or whatever it was that the Emperor said that had the clones click over and kill all their Jedis. We see how that affected other people as well. So we had the final episode of that. Everyone said is one of the best finale episodes of any TV show, and a great capper to a wonderful cartoon series. I do recommend it. As I said, I've seen about maybe the first 2 seasons, and I saw the movie that led to it, and I haven't seen any of the other ones, but I want to. I've been dying to, and hopefully I'll get to it sometime. So we'll get to that too. A bizarre ancient stone was found cut in half with amazing precision in South America. So, it was a giant stone cut right down the middle perfectly, almost as if a laser did it. And it's ancient rock from South America. So continuing the whole thing that aliens may be, among us. Speaking of that, I was proven right for once. I've been saying this for years. When I started this show about 6-7 years ago, it was divided up into sections because I was able to do it through Hangouts. So I was able to work with other people. I can't do that now on YouTube Studio right now, or I haven't figured out how to do it, but I don't think I can do it right now because there's no way to invite anybody on here. And I don't stream because I'm not that good at it. But when I started Dylan Knows, it was divided into 4 different things. It would be my comic show, it would be my list show, it would be my supernatural show, and then it would be my international whatever show I wanted to do. So I did a supernatural show where I was the co-host, and we discussed aliens and ghosts and stuff and Bigfoots and stuff like that. And I kept screaming and yelling. And also my friend Gary can attest this as well. And when we've had our discussions about things and things I've talked about my wife and everybody, is that whenever I see science talking about looking for alien life and saying, well, this planet obviously can't harbor alien life because there's no oxygen or water. We're only looking for planets that have oxygen and water because they're looking for life like us. They don't quite grasp that life can live. It finds a way, as Jeff Goldblum would say. Life finds a way to survive in any environment. It mutates itself so it survives on that. So there could be life anywhere in the universe. The good example is way in the deep water, where we have extreme heat pumps coming from our molten core that send heat shooting up through the ocean floor bottom and into really extreme hot. I mean, we're talking like hotter than hot water. There are creatures that live in that hot water. Now, that's what they believe is on Europa right now, with Europa, the moon of Jupiter, that has, they believe, a ocean of ice, an ocean on the moon, but it's frozen due to its proximity to, or I should say, its distance from the sun. And they believe that there might be creatures living like that because it could be actually warmer under the ice. So they believe that there are creatures living there. But I keep saying, no, they could be living anywhere. You should not be looking for life like us, life that only survives on oxygen and water, stuff like that. You need to look everywhere for life, not just those areas for life. I was screaming it and yelling it, and yet nobody was doing it. They kept looking. Well, we're looking for planets that like ours to find life. Mars should at one time had life because it was like us, but now it doesn't because it's not like us. But you don't know. We talked about before. There's caves and underground stuff that could survive, and hell, there could be creatures that live on there we just can't see. Well, this week I was vindicated as scientists started saying, maybe life could live in hydrogen-rich areas. Hello? Yes, I've been saying that for 6 to 7 years. So now that is a whole brand new, wow, we can start looking for life anywhere, really, and see what we can find. There's no guarantee that any aliens are going to be exactly like us. They're not going to be like us because there probably aren't that many planets like ours. There might be some, but there might be more that are, specifically suited for these types of aliens' bodies and the way they survive. So, vindication. Oh, Beetlejuice. Okay. Fans of the movie Beetlejuice. I was like, what the fuck did I write there? Fans of the movie Beetlejuice, you can now get lamps that look a lot like the Tim Burton style type of lamps that were in the Beetlejuice movie. So that's also available now for your perusal. Sprite Lemonade will be coming back this summer for your drinking pleasure. Nev Campbell has been approached about starring in Scream 5. I'm not sure how big of a fan I am of that. I think sometimes you just got to say, enough is enough, but I'd like to see Nev Campbell back in some other types of movies, but she hasn't really made anything since then. So we'll see what happens about that. Natural National Treasure, which is one of my favorite movies with Nicolas Cage, is owned by Disney, and Disney Plus has decided they want to make a TV show about National Treasure. I think it's a really great idea. You can expand on your story a little bit more. Have another. You don't necessarily have to have the same characters, but you can have like another sort of treasure hunt, whatever. It could be a historical type of thing. You can have a lot of fun with it, and that could be a really interesting sort of way to do things. So go for it. I'm looking forward to that. I think that'd be great. um, a new black hole has been discovered closer to Earth. So there are actually black holes that are closer now than we thought there would be. So who knows what could be going on with that. A 90,000-year-old human hybrid has been found in a ancient cave in Siberia. I'm not exactly sure what meant by human hybrid, but maybe it's some sort of a mix of a caveman and regular man sort of thing. The body has been found in Siberia, 90,000 years old. Guillermo del Toro's next movie is going to be a werewolf Western. Seems like a neat idea. Westerns are something that I've been reading a lot about. I finished the book Tombstone by Tom Clavin. I enjoyed it, as I've enjoyed all this stuff before. And I've been on as I said, a Western kick, reading all about, Teddy Roosevelt's naturalism and going out west and Dodge City and Wild Bill Hickok and all that. So it's kind of interesting to see that. And, that could be kind of interesting to see down the line. Stephanie Meyer, the writer of Twilight, the Twilight series about the vampires and werewolves and all this stuff, is going to be releasing a new book called Midnight Sun. This was announced years ago, but never came to fruition. But now it's going to be out. It's basically taking the viewpoint of the vampire. I can't think of his name right now, played by Robert Pattinson in the movies, and Twilight. So the movie will be retelling Twilight, but from his viewpoint. So I guess that's good, I suppose. I've learned a lot about Ireland recently, but I did not know this. Ireland is repaying a famine era generosity by donating millions of dollars to Native Americans who are being really hit hard by COVID-19. Apparently, back during the Irish famines back in the 1800s, I said I read a book about that too. When the Irish invaded Canada, talked a lot about the famines like that. Apparently, Native Americans actually decided that they should help out the Irish, so they sent lots of money to help them out to recover from famine and stuff like that. So the Irish are returning the favor by helping them with their COVID-19 problems. I think that's kind of a cool idea. Speaking of the Indians, the Rosebud Sioux tribe is the first to create or have created North America's largest herd of bison. They are going to be taking care of it and watching over it. So that's a neat little thing there for that. Bears, because of them not being a lot of people out and about, bears are starting to make themselves at home in people's backyards in California, Redmond, California there. And another one in Duluth was hanging out at a Noodles and Company. So he wants some of those Noodles and Company, trying to get in there. So as I said, that's what's been going on for a while now. Animals have been slowly taking over stuff. Coyotes have been spotted in Reisterstown, which is something that I've never heard of before, but we've had multiple people spy them, and we also had one guy get attacked by them. So coyotes are out and about in Reisterstown. So that's kind of an interesting thing to think about. But as I said, it's what's happening. People inside, not as many people out. The animals are starting to say, hey, this isn't too bad. Playful. What the hell am I right here? Playful princess shuts down hosts utter shay reason heaving light on new. I don't know what this is. So I'm gonna look at that one. What the hell am I doing here? don't know what this one says either. Holy God. What is wrong with my handwriting? There is a Ironheart series in development at Disney Plus. So that's an interesting. Ironheart is a young girl who took over as Iron Man for a while. So that should be an interesting little story to tell. Elon Musk and I guess his wife Grimes, I've never heard of her. She's a singer of some kind, introduced their son XAEA12. So they named their son after a scientific formula. And to think people were screaming about naming your son Anakin Skywalker. Huh. I hate my handwriting. A long-time Loch Ness Monster hunter investigator claims he has sighted Nessie 3 times this year already, which is a lot more than usual. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince are re-teaming to do a virtual block party. I think that's a really cool idea to get them back together and get things moving and grooving. Tom Cruise is officially going to be making a movie on the International Space Station. So that's pretty cool. That's going to be like a first time ever. What the hell am I writing here? Baby Yoda time. Baby Yoda Monopoly and Chia Pet and the Mandalorian cereal with Baby Yoda marshmallows are all out now for your Baby Yoda pleasure. Andy Serkis, who played Schmeagol in the Lord of the Rings films and The Hobbit, actually sat down and virtually read The Hobbit for a bunch of people like that. Daniel Radcliffe, who played our friend Harry Potter, he actually read the first chapter of the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone as well. So they're going to have a bunch of famous people reading every chapter of the Philosopher's Stone. So they got Daniel Radcliffe to read the first one, which makes a lot of sense. Jamie Lee Curtis is going to direct and star, in a new Lifetime movie. A $52,000 smart house looks like a spaceship and sleeps 4. This thing looks really, really small, and I cannot imagine anyone wanting to live in it, particularly 4 people. So, whatever. The New York City subway was cleaned for the first time in 115 years. And that doesn't make you go, what the hell? Then I don't know what's going to. 115 years, the subway has never been cleaned until now. I'm just mad. I got Ghost of masturbating monkey is haunting a British estate. That's something that you never thought you'd hear, but hey, it's a real story. I don't know the actual story behind it, but there is a ghost of a masturbating monkey on a British estate. So go figure. Just Beyond by R.L. Stine and Boom Studios will be getting a Disney Plus TV show. So it must be a hard work. That was a comic book graphic novel written by R.L. Stine is now going to be getting a TV show. Mike Tyson and Sherman Briggs are going to have agreed to a bare knuckle fight. The only thing I know about bare knuckle fights is the 2 Clint Eastwood movies, Any Which Way You Can and Any Which Way But Loose, or Every Which Way But Loose, and Any Which Way You Can, which were 2 movies I watched with my dad. Clint Eastwood playing one of these bare knuckle brawlers, and Sandra Locke was in it. He had a gorilla named Clyde, orangutan named Clyde, who would always punch out the bad guys. They were always hunted by a motorcycle gang and stuff like that. So it's just crazy stuff. But hey, that's, Mike Tyson's back in the news. Amsterdam restaurant shows how social distancing dining can be done with tents around the table. So basically, all their tables have tents. They take the people in there and zip them up so that they're not interacting with other people in the restaurant. I guess that's okay. Tokyo Aquarium begs people to FaceTime with their eels because the eels are getting bored with being in isolation. It's interesting to see that eels get bored with things. Crunchyroll anime will be coming to join HBO Max at launch. I talked about, anime and manga stuff. So I sent this to my wife, and she and my daughter got really excited about. But that means we might have to get HBO Plus now, or HBO Max, which I wasn't planning on doing. But if they want their Crunchyroll anime, might have to do it for them. Hell, it's Mother's Day, so why not? They want to. An asteroid in Australia has DNA components that go back 7 billion years. So their DNA from 7 billion years ago is in this asteroid in Australia. So playful princess shuts down haters after showing. Oh, playful princess lingerie. I got this one. Shoots down haters after showing men wearing lingerie in a new ad. Okay, I got that one down there. So yeah, there was a new ad with a guy wearing lingerie, and people were freaking out about that, and because people are ignorant morons. So good to see that get back on top of things. So I got that one down. Let's see if I can get this one. Something orbits comic book world. Oh, indigenous cultures. Okay. Indigenous artists. Okay, I got that one too. Yay, I figured it out. Indigenous artists have created their own comic book world. So basically, Native Americans, I talked about earlier, they have created their own. They're getting created. They last week I told a story about them creating their own movie industry. Now they're starting to create their own comic book industry. So that's good stuff for them, and that's great. So hopefully, things will start with for Native Americans. One of the next books I'm going to be reading is going to be about Native Americans. I've always been interested in that as well. American Horror Story is going to be coming back soon, and earlier this year they announced that Macaulay Culkin will be joining the cast for this season. Well, we got a little bit more info about that. Apparently, Macaulay Culkin's character and Kathy Bates' character will have a crazy sex scene in American Horror Story. So I can't even imagine what that's about, but to see young Macaulay Culkin with older Kathy Bates is going to be interesting, I guess. People are freaking out about that in some form or another, but hey, whatever. Pokemon Go news today. Pokemon Go keeps changing things up while people are in quarantine. The Philadelphia Safari Zone, which was supposed to be this weekend and was canceled due to COVID-19. If you bought a ticket, again, what they did is during your time frame, if you bought a ticket for Saturday, all day Saturday from 11 to 7 on Saturday, they would open up the Safari Zone for you. And you can catch all the stuff that you were hoping to catch in Philadelphia, all the shinies, and you get all the info and stuff like that. So a lot of people did that today. Today was also Snubble Day. Snubble is this bulldog-looking character, fairy type, that from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., there did about 50 research tasks you had to do. So you would end up catching about 68 of these snubbles. And you could do every single one of them from your house without leaving. So I did mine. My wife did hers. I got 4 shinies. My wife got 1 or 2. My daughter, I ended up doing my daughter. She got 3. I couldn't get my son's because I was just wiped after doing mine and my daughter's. It took at least 2 to 3 hours to do it, because some of the stuff was really, really hard to do, and a lot of it was just monotonous, and you have to make sure you had enough balls and stuff like that. So it was a lot of back and forth creation. But that was going on this week. Next weekend is going to be the incense event, where they're going to, from like 11 to 5, they will have a different type coming out every hour. In this case, it's going to be dark and water. So it's like water, dark, water, dark, water, dark, water, dark, water, dark. So get some shinies there as well. May is the throwback month. Last week they did the Kanto throwback, which was a week's worth of a timed research project that you could catch a ton of the Generation 1 Pokemon, including possibilities for shinies and stuff like that. That ended on Friday. And now we're in Gen 2's research stuff. I finished mine this morning. My wife has just about finished hers, I think, and I'll be working on my kids once I can get out and do some walking to get their eggs hatched. Once we do that, it's going to go downhill from that. Next Friday will be Gen 3. The week after that will be Gen 4. Week after that will be Gen 5. And then they're going to do some other crazy stuff in early June. So all kinds of stuff going on with that. Plus, Niantic, who is the one who created Pokemon, are going to be making it easier to get Pokecoins. You were only able to get Pokecoins, which you use to buy stuff through taking over gyms and staying there. But sometimes you would take over a gym and you would be in there and you have to stay there for a certain amount of time to get 50 coins, but people would be assholes and come up and they would knock you out after only an hour. You get 1 coin or they'd come a few hours later, only get 12 coins or whatever. You never got your 50 coins because they just want to take over and be dicks about it. Me and Dawn have an unwritten rule where we will not take anybody out if they just got into it. We give them a few hours unless they really, really piss us off. So do that. So they're exploring new ways to do that. Australia is the test subject for that right now. So they're going to be testing some stuff out in Australia about how to get those done. So it'd be through research tasks and other stuff as well. So that's good. That's what's going on with that. And finally, just a little bit left here. Disney Plus is announcing a Right Stuff miniseries based on the book The Right Stuff, about the early days of the space of NASA and the space race. They already made a movie about it, but now they're doing a TV show because they have the rights to National Geographic as well. So it's going to be connected sort of with them. So that's good on that. Some sad news. 2 young boys, the ages 10 and 7, were playing Spider-Man. They fell to their death from the 10th floor of their apartment through an open window while they were in quarantine. So, that's a sad tale about that. I saw this at Target. Salted caramel Eggo waffles sounded pretty good. Almost bought them because I like the salted caramel stuff. But in the end, I decided not to. But I might go back and get them eventually. But that's pretty good. Demolition Man 2, which Demolition Man was the film with Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, and Sandra Bullock, and Rob Schneider was in it as well, I think. Takes place in a future very much like ours. So Sylvester Stallone decided, hey, why don't we let's do a sequel, and we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. I doubt it. This guy's like 70 years old, so we'll see what happens. There is a sloth institute that takes care of baby sloths that lost their mother. So baby sloths are adorable. And now there's a place that they can be taken care of. Game of Thrones actor Hafthar Bjornsson has set the deadlift world record, which basically, as I learned this from the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, is where you have the dumbbell just on the ground and you just go, you lift it up that way, not the it's just a one straight lift, boom, from the ground up. So you just have to grab it and pull it up. He now has the world record. So an actor from Game of Thrones now has the world record for the deadlift, which is great. I mean, it's great to see stuff like that all the time. Carnival Cruises are going to be reopening cruises in August. I don't know if that's a good idea, but we'll see what happens. For May the 4th, Empire Strikes Back was remade with Hasbro action figures. So the action figures from the Empire Strikes Back series, someone took the time to do a stop motion version of Empire Strikes Back with his action figures. That was really something that we thought we were doing when we were kids. We were doing our own versions of Empire Strikes Back and stuff like that, making our own stories up. It was awesome. Speaking of waffles, car and truck waffle maker is now available. There was a Lego one that I talked about a couple weeks ago. Now you can have one where you can create cars and trucks out of your waffles and you can drive them around before you eat them. That's kind of fascinating in that. Wendy's is running out of beef. Wendy's back in the 80s was famous for the Where's the Beef commercial series. And now they are actually physically saying, where's the beef? Because there is a beef shortage in the United States due to COVID-19. Some local news. The Institute of Notre Dame will be shutting down due to low enrollment and financial hardships, which is insane because it's been a girls' preparatory school off of Charles Street, right down near Loyola University. It has been there forever, and now it's going to be shut down, which is absolutely insane due to not only COVID-19, but I guess just the lack of people having the funds to send their daughters to like a finishing school type of place. Plus, it's getting out of, it's not a in style sort of thing to do anymore. But still, it's a gorgeous campus. I see it every time I drive down Charles Street and go past Loyola, and it's a shame it's going to be shut down. Maybe either Loyola might take it over, or maybe somehow they might be able to reopen it down the line. But it's a shame because it's been around forever. My uncle, who is way older than I am, he remembers that as well. He didn't go to it, but remembers, I guess visiting people there or stuff like that. So Neil Gaiman and Amanda Palmer have split up, which is a shame because they always seemed like they were a perfect match for each other, but apparently not. And that is over with. And the final story for today, May 9th. NASA says that there is something something massive is being observed above our planet. They don't know what it is, but supposedly there is some sort of strange object above our Earth that is being monitored at this moment to see what is going on with it. So it's the first I heard of it. I don't know how realistic it is, but when it comes from NASA, there's something's happening that goes along with some of the weird satellites that we've had and some of the weird airplanes that no one knew were flying around when they were. So we'll see what happens. Maybe we're going to eventually get into a time. 2020 would be the perfect time. It's the weirdest year already. Why not have the aliens come visit us in 2020 and maybe save us from ourselves? So, ladies and gentlemen, that is an end of episode 348. I want to thank you all for watching with me. Tomorrow, don't forget, it is Mother's Day. So go call your mom, do a porch visit, get her something nice. If your mother passed away, say a prayer, think of her, talk to her, look at pictures of her, whatever. Don't forget to wish your wife a happy Mother's Day if you have children, because she's a mother also. And I tell you, I got in trouble with that a couple years ago. Was not fun. So be sure to do that as well. For everybody who, who's a mother, my cousin, I got a bunch of cousins who are mothers. I got my sister's a mother. I've got, family members, aunts, uncles, mom, dads, stepmom, stuff like that, all mothers. And we're all going to go see them over the next span of the next 24 hours or so. So don't forget, tomorrow is Mother's Day. Enjoy it here on the Eastern Seaboard. Let's get through this cold and ice and snow. And we're going to get into some warmer spring-like temperatures coming up by next weekend. And let's see if we can survive another week here. And hope everybody survives and gets good luck and nothing bad happens. We'll be back next week at our usual spot, episode 349. So we're close to 350. So just keep churning them out, aren't we? All right, y'all. See you later. Bye.